And of course, now housing and mortgage expert Jeff Tanenbaum joins us now with more. Jeff, thank you very much for joining us in the studio. Let's start off with the figure, amazing figure, unheard of.
Landmark corporate punishment by the government, yes.
How to justify the 16 billion? How do they come up with that figure?
I'm not really sure how they actually comprised it, because the government was at 13 billion, for a while. And then Eric Holder spoke with the bank and said, if you don't meet our demands of 16 to 17 billion, we're going to sue you. And after millions of dollars in legal fees, and this has been going on quite a while, the Bank of America finally acquiesced and said yes. Now, we have to go back to the fact that the government has also gone after Citibank and JP Morgan for less money. 13
billion with JP Morgan.
Right. Yep. And the intent was that they have to bear the brunt or a portion of the financial crisis and the real estate crash. That was in 2008. And I think
Bank of America's contention was, well, why should we pick up the debt for Merrill? Because we acquired Merrill after the fact, if you like.
But Merrill is a part of their conglomerate, their group, as well as Countrywide, and both did contribute significantly to the overfunding, if you will. There was never a real control on loans before the crisis. In other words, you could get a loan for 150% of the property. This happened where I used to live in Houston, Texas, constantly. The appraisers were sent out by the banks, where now there's a clearinghouse. When you want a loan on a property, you must call the clearinghouse, and they arrange for an independent appraisal of the property. It puts a check and balance on the mortgage situation, as does the credit. There's certain levels of credit that have to be met to afford a purchaser to get a loan. These were never in place prior to the crisis, and obviously it left many in a foreclosure situation or short sale, or more importantly, their credit was adversely affected and they wound up with nothing. No home, bad credit, they can't do anything now.
Is this now the end of the matter? Effectively, I suspect
I hope it is, and I hope that the money is used to really make inroads in repairing the credit situation and those who lost their homes, helping them in some way. That way, I'm not sure how it'll happen, but I think it should happen.
An expensive lesson. Do you think the banking sector have learned anything from this?
Time will tell. I think that one asks, well, how is the money going to be funded? And eventually, like everything else, I'm afraid there may be some component to that funding that will impact consumers of today and our society as a whole.
See, that's my other question. How is this money going to be found from the coffers of Bank of America? Where will they get that 16 billion from? I suspect from
fees.
The public.
Of course.
Exactly.
And so we have the situation where maybe the fees will no longer go to the bank, but will now go toward the general population of those who were affected adversely by the situation. That's really the difference. I mean, one population of consumers will be paying for another population who unfortunately have gone through probably the worst situation of their lives, which is losing their home.
Okay, Jeff, listen, thanks very much indeed for joining us. I appreciate it. Thank you.